anxious, nervous, cautious, burnt out, empty, sad, lonely, lost kind of place.
Your mindset is not going to be different just because your external circumstances changed.
Gratitude is not a net negative.
You had kind of touched on a little bit on love languages earlier, and I actually have this idea of trying to find a way to delineate a little bit, but really articulate elegantly 5 gratitude languages.
Yeah.
Like kind of spin off of the 5 love languages, but like what are 5 ways that we can intentionally express gratitude in a way that we can communicate to others, because it makes us feel really good when other people are authentically grateful for us. However, if we don't know how we authentically receive gratitude, how can we ever expect anyone else to authentically, consistently give us the kind of gratitude that we need to feel seen, valued, heard, and appreciated?
5 languages of gratitude that aren't the love languages. Also, first, let me just say one sentence that came to my head, just to reiterate. Gratitude is not a net negative. Gratitude, like to close out the prior one, you don't feel worse about yourself by giving gratitude to others. You feel better about yourself while giving gratitude to others, which means that you should give gratitude as much as humanly possible, because it's a net positive benefit for you and it's a net positive benefit for them. And the multiplier effect of that actually makes you more successful through less effort moving forward. It's like the flubber effect.
Yeah.
I just made that up, but I'm going to have to build a model around that. But it's, it's like 1 + 1 = 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to spin because the truth is, folks, you're likely spending your time spinning your wheels. I can literally probably take any of you watching this call and guaranteed find a couple hours a day that you're spending doing things you don't need to be doing. Like literally, like whether it's because you're bogged down by multitasking when you should be monotasking, when you're not setting healthy boundaries by saying no, and you're saying yes too often, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I bet I could find a ton of time in your calendar that you could actually be spent giving gratitude in a pro-social way, which is a benefit to you and a benefit to the recipient, which helps you then get more ahead in life because your community sees you as a grateful individual worthy of receiving help in whatever you need help with. That's just my thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Getting back to languages of gratitude, I'm just going to go crazy and say, I want one of the languages of gratitude to be thanking people for hurting them. I know this sounds crazy to say, but some of the best things that have ever happened in our lives are when someone has made us feel left out, lonely, whatever. Like someone did something to us. They fired us. They broke up with us. They cheated on us, whatever. I think one of the truest ways that you can heal any of that is by going and thanking them for that. And realizing how much better off your life is because of what you learned because of that. And they're probably carrying around guilt, shame, regret of them having done the thing in the first place, which means you thanking them for that helps process it in their life as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I talk a little bit about forgiveness. And as we know, forgiveness has so little to do with somebody else's apology, and it has everything to do with you processing and healing and moving forward in gratitude for what happened, regardless of somebody else's apology.
Of course.
And this is that glue, that bridge that you just connected there is, and Anderson Cooper and he was on the late night, Colbert. Anderson said to Colbert, do you actually feel grateful for the terrible things that have happened, for everything that's happened in your life? And Colbert said, yeah. But the reason why he said, yeah, and Anderson went through some pretty tough things. And Colbert said, because it made me able to relate and empathize and build connections with people, because I understand that they too may be going through something terrible like I did. And so he found gratitude through empathy through the heartbreak.
Yep. Go thank those people. I've had people, my friend Shamim, who lives in Nairobi, Kenya, he thanked the Ayatollah Khomeini, the Iranian Ayatollah from years ago. He thanked him at a dinner because of political persecution to his grandparents. Because it allowed Shamim's family to start new in Kenya and build something for themselves instead of relying on the inheritance from his grandparents.
Wow.
What? I had dinner with, I went when Anna Delvey, you remember the fraudster, when she was on house arrest, I went over for dinner. I went over to dinner at her house. It was just me, her, and another person from a German television station. And the three of us had dinner. She, and I asked her the gratitude question, she gave gratitude to the judge that denied her bond leading up to her first trial. Right? So she's arrested. And then the judge denied her bond because she was a flight risk. And it was like a year until her trial. And she literally told me if that judge had not denied her bond, she would have totally fled the country. She would have gone to Germany and never been heard from again. But what did she do in that year between arrest and the first trial? She wrote her memoirs. She sold the rights to Netflix. She became a millionaire. And then she served a prison term for 4 or 5 years and got out. And now she's, I don't agree with how she got there. I don't agree with fraud and criminal behavior, etc. But she thanked someone who took away her freedom. That's gratitude, folks. We all have someone like that in our lives. And so thinking of just using gratitude for the good, that's the junior varsity stuff.
Yeah. And that's the kind of the intention in my personal opinion. And Burchard talks a lot about like the intention leads to the habit and the behavior, or the behavior, then the habit, then the kind of what we do, and then the who we become. And so like there's all of these kind of steps along the way. And so again, I started off writing 3 things I was grateful for, assuming it was going to transform my life. But I did it to get something from it. I didn't do it to really be where I was. I was trying to become something different without even recognizing where I was in the moment. So my journey started, like a lot of people listening, they were told, okay, you should write down what you're grateful for. And they're like, I know, right? And so, but there's so much more to it. Like you said, only for the great things, it's not going to resonate on a soul and a heart level as much. And as it does for some of the things that, like when it rains, a lot of people complain about raining here in Missouri. So I'm in Missouri here. So a lot of people complain about all the different seasons. They're unhappy in every season. And so what I tell people is you take you everywhere. Your mindset is not going to be different just because your external circumstances changed. So once you change your internal dialogue, internal story you say about life, once you learn to look at all of life, this is the other thing about gratitude that's really kind of taught me is I'm not only looking at the good things, I'm looking at everything and seeing as much good as possible, learning from the things that are hard, things that I don't like, things that I wish weren't there. There's tragedy that happens. All of these things are going to happen, but how we respond to them is up to us, which has to start with us, not just how other people feed it to us.
I look, the truth is most people try to change their circumstances in life by expecting others to change the circumstances for them. But that ain't life, right? In order to see the change you want to see in others or your circumstances around you, first you got to make the change within yourself. I'm going to be brutally honest. There's a lot of y'all, me included, listening to this call who just reek of entitlement. The Arbinger Institute, in their book, Anatomy of Peace, define entitlement as really kind of 2 parts. Either one, we believe we're superior to others, so we see people as objects, and we see ourselves as worthy of special attention. And number 2, victim mindset. We see ourselves as worse than others, or like we've had it harder than others, and therefore we deserve special treatment. Both of those are a form of freaking entitlement. And if you have that type of mindset, you reek of that mindset, your heart's at war. And how could you ever invite your circumstances in this world to change for the better if your heart's at war? And so, according to Anatomy of Peace, the first step that you have to do before you change anything around you is first shift your heart from at war to at peace. You stop seeing others as either better than or worse than. You stop seeing others as objects. You stop seeing others as blah, blah, blah. And you start seeing them as people, right? And you start being grateful, and you ask good questions, and you create moments of pause to savor what's working so well in your life around you. And when you start doing that, your heart starts to heal. You start walking into the world a little bit less triggered and a little bit more emotionally regulated, and then you can invite positive change you want to see in others by asking good questions and connecting appropriately and giving gratitude where gratitude is due and all these kind of things. Yeah. But it starts right here. It starts here. Oh, yeah. Because people will sniff out that bullshit. If you go and give gratitude, but you're secretly mad at that person, they're going to be like, that was full of shit. Screw you, dude.
Yeah. It's actually worse than not giving the effort at all, is giving the effort with that intention. It actually makes it worse. Just like, as kids, when they say, go tell that person sorry, and they just look over and go, sorry about that, and move on, like it actually makes it worse. It acknowledges even more that they're not actually sorry, instead of just saying nothing, it actually makes it a little bit worse. But, so Chris, I wanted to highlight some of the people leadership things that you're doing, just because I know you talk a lot about human connection. You talk a lot about the meaningful human connections, I should say, and then also kind of how that shows up in our lives. And that's one thing I want you, if you can, kind of give us that bridge a little bit around kind of who you speak to and how you're seeing and hearing feedback after you share your message of what you do and how to build that customer experience and employee engagement, all those different things that you're impacting by impacting the hearts and the minds of those people that you speak to.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing it there. What started off as a humble little bowl of pasta sauce, we kept hosting the dinners and we kept asking the question. We kept meeting great people, and great people introduced us to other great people. And those people started calling us up saying, hey, Chris, we see how good you are at gathering people and helping them shift into a positive mental attitude and a growth mindset. And it seems like you're able to kind of affect their behaviors and their habits and how they show up and what they do and how they connect, blah, blah, blah. And so then we started working with companies. And we started putting together big programs, leadership development programs, delivering keynotes, doing full day or multi-day offsites, doing team building, doing client engagement, whatever. And it all comes down to a very simple thing. The world of work is in an incredibly anxious, nervous, cautious, burnt out, empty, sad, lonely, lost kind of place where people are kind of suffering, right? They're asking to do more output with less resources. They're asking, they're being asked to stay later and grow faster and do this and do that. And that really wears on people. And so we work with companies to kind of help address that with a little bit of a counterintuitive approach. We work with leaders and say, hey, thank the people for a good job before they've even done the job, right? Don't let someone waste 25 years of their career and then thank them upon their exit. Thank them before they've even gotten the result. Thank them for the effort. Celebrate those small wins. Do those things. Recognize and appreciate how people align, their actions align with your mission, your vision, your values. Do that before the work's even done. And it makes people feel good. The workplace is a lonely place, right? 51% of the American workforce reports feeling lonely on a consistent basis. That's equivalent to the reduction of lifespan smoking 15 cigarettes a day, according to Julianne Holt-Lundstad. So we help people connect, right? Most people spend all of the waking hours at a company with just the people on their team. But what if I told you that statistically, according to Mark Granovetter's research in 1973 at Stanford University, that the greatest creativity, innovation, job promotion, and career growth within an organization helps or comes when you connect people from different teams, connect people that don't know each other across the organization? Heck yeah, let's do more of that. So we help companies with that, right? Cross-functional connection, shifting their mindsets from stagnant to generative, from fixed to growth, from negative to positive, all these kind of things. The workplace is really going through a really challenging time right now. As a whole, we're shifting from the knowledge economy to the wisdom economy. You used to get promoted. You used to get ahead in life. You used to be rewarded by how much clarity and decisiveness and original thought and answers you could bring to an equation. You were hired for those things. But now we can outsource those things. AI is smarter, more cohesive, with greater clarity, better systems and procedures than we could ever dream of. Which means what we thought we were rewarded for in this world is collapsing right now, in this moment. But what's emerging is an economy that's filled with intimacy and coherence and community and connection. You want to know who the best people are for the job? Figure out who can move hearts and minds through their leadership, through connection. And that comes from gratitude, right? It comes from awakening the best in the human beings in the role, not the best, original thought in the role, that kind of thing. And so you see a lot of the shift in global leadership, shifting away from rewarding leaders who have the best answers to rewarding leaders who ask the best questions. The shift is going away from leaders who can command and control to leaders who can empower and elevate. And so leaders that can lead with gratitude to maintain a positive mindset through hard times. Leaders who can connect in a really meaningful way to make people feel safe, seen, and heard. That's the future of leadership. And so we help companies through that. And we've been doing that for 10 years. We've got 361 clients. Our clients are Microsoft, Google, IBM, Dell, United States government. You name it, they're likely a client of ours. And what they're all saying is, we've been moving too fast. Our people are way too burnt out. Our systems are messy. Things are inefficient. What do we do about that? And now we go in with a 5-part framework. We go in and help them realize the greatest leaders and the truest potential you could ever achieve comes from when you slow down, when you take a pause to just slow down and connect, regain clarity and control. Number 2, when you ask people around you really good questions, questions that begin with what or how, not why. Number 3, when you take time to savor what's working, but then shift what's not. Number 4, when you take action on what you just learned through steps 1 through 3, right? Action that's bold, empathetic, collaborative, and focused. Action where you press go at 90% instead of waiting for 100. When you start before you're ready, those kind of things. And the 5th thing is when you appreciate the journey. When you make gratitude a cornerstone of your workplace culture. Right? We teach people how to P, pause. A, ask. S, savor and shift. T, take action. A, appreciate. What does that spell? Pasta.
Yeah.
And so that's been our kind of, our way of going into companies and saying, let's shift the hearts and minds of the people you serve, whether it's your external stakeholders or your internal stakeholders. So whether it's one-off workshops or multi-year long programs or dinner parties or keynotes, whatever, it's all with that same kind of goal in mind. Just help people be more grateful and help them realize that what they got is good. Slow down a little. Just connect. It'll help you speed up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that because I've been reading a lot about who you are and what you do with that kind of work, and it obviously resonates a lot with me because one of the things I've spent some time with Gallup, I spent some time with David Rock out with in New York actually at the Neuro Leadership conference that they've had out there. So just really trying to really understand who people are and less what can I get from them. And so I've had the opportunity to lead for 22 years now, and the one thing that I can say is how you see the people that you get to lead will directly relate to how they feel when you lead them. And
Boom.
and when you make a psychologically safe culture the standard and the norm, it stands on itself to where it's okay if we don't succeed every time, but what's the lesson that we learned? And that's so much of just human nature in life is creating psychological safety, not just from me, but for each other. It becomes very apparent about how you see people based on how you talk to people, how you treat to people. They then feel safe in the environment. But it started with me saying, I'm glad you're here.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, TJ, and to all the people listeners, that doesn't make the environment soft.
Nope.
Folks, psychological safety and trust, to me, is not the end goal. It's the foot in the door. What follows trust is what we call productive conflict and constructive challenge. My invitation is for people to create a workplace where you challenge the shit out of your people, but you also make them feel safe, seen, and heard in the process. Because that's how you get the highest quality insights out, right? If you have a world-changing, positive thing that you're doing, why wouldn't you want to get the best and the brightest ideas at every moment's notice out of your people? Right? That doesn't come from just being soft on them.
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't come from never pushing them. No, you push them while also making them feel safe. And you do, that's how you thrive, right? We have this whole matrix we teach. It's the empathy accountability matrix. If you have an organization where there's too much empathy and not enough accountability, people go soft. It just gets woo-woo, whatever. If you got an organization with too much accountability, let's fucking go, and no empathy, that's burnout.
Yeah.
If you got an organization, a team, a relationship, whatever you place there that has zero empathy, but also zero accountability, it leads to just atrophy. That division dies off, the relationship atrophies, it goes nowhere. But if you have a situation where there's high empathy and also high challenge, high accountability, high push, big questions, challenging assumptions, uncovering it, you change the world, y'all. You change the world, and you don't get threatened to be ruined in the process through low empathy, right? So that's the thriving zone. High empathy, right? High challenge, high support. Learned that from a client of mine, Spencer Baird, runs a 6,500 person company in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Tension, ease, challenge, support, empathy, accountability. You dance that dance in between as a culture, as a family leader, as a father, as a mother, whatever, man, you're going to produce some great results. My God.
Yeah. Yeah. And when people feel like they get to come to work instead of having to come to work, when you start to hear that language, and, you know, one of the things that it's not easy to get to that place, what you just outlined, but it's also not easy, but it's also easy. It's not easy to not be in that place. And then the thing that, like, kind of a quick story that really kind of resonates, I'm sure for you as well, but I had an employee who just transferred to our team, and he was working, I just had a new baby, working nights on a different shift before in healthcare. And then whenever he first joined our team, I just said, how's your family life? After he started working with us. And he said, for the first time in years, my wife said, I finally have my husband back. And I said, that is the most significant thing our team can do here for you, is to make sure that the family that you love, the baby that you have, gets the best of you, not just the rest of you.
Yeah. And you know what probably happened? That guy became a top contributor.
Has been since the second that conversation happened.
That's it.
But Chris, the thing is that I know a lot of leaders, when I talk like this to them, they're like, yeah, but it's a soft skill. And then it creates there's what you just outlined skill. Is perfect. Yeah.
It's a power skill. I've reframed. So literally Workday, huge company in HR, put out a study that said to lead and thrive in the age of AI, to become irreplaceable in the age of AI, right? To not lose your job in the age of AI, 3 buckets of skills: human relationships and networking, emotional intelligence and empathy, conflict resolution and negotiation, right? The ability to challenge, right, without being emotionally deregulated, that kind of thing. Those aren't soft skills anymore, folks. Those are survival skills. This is wartime. I mean, I literally wrote the other day an entire article titled "Employee Well-Being is Our Generation's Version of Rosie the Riveter." Right? If you want to win the war on talent, if you want to win the war against, competitive marketplace, if you want to win the war as a country against whoever we're fighting, not to get political or whatever, but we need to bring the best out of our people. Yeah. And it doesn't come from going soft on them. It comes from going hard and soft at the same time, right? Challenge, while also supporting, for sure.
Yeah. There's such a great balance there for sure. So I appreciate that insight too. And again, I know,
talk about neuroscience. It's just flow. It's flow neuroscience.
Yeah.
You're hitting the challenge skill sweet spot.
Yeah. Yeah. The challenge skill sweet spot is the best way to really describe that. And, and it's a matter of oftentimes leaders want to feel and be respected and so on and so forth. And they feel like if they're vulnerable, then they're going to lose that. And that's really their own internal projection that they're putting on the people that they get to lead.
Which is so funny because gratitude doesn't require that much vulnerability.
Yeah.
For you to appreciate.
Yeah.
And for you to thank someone for something that they did that brought value, that doesn't mean that you were in a vulnerable spot in order to receive their value.
Yeah. 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 So it's just kind of untelling some things and telling new stories. And it's really, really powerful. And again, this isn't the thing that I appreciate a lot about what you do is you're not just saying be grateful. You're talking about the power of gratitude, which I think is such a great gap for people to close, that there's so much more to it than just being grateful.
Gratitude is a state, trait, emotion, and a mood. It's a lot of different things.
Yeah.
It's either things that you are always, or it's something that you feel in the moment, or it's whatever. I struggle with gratitude, right? Just because I'm the gratitude fancy title after the name guy, whatever. I struggle with it every day. I'm probably the least grateful person on this entire live stream. But that's what helps me succeed.
Yeah.
I don't think that people should be grateful all the time. I think you have to allow yourselves the learning that comes from a place of ingratitude, and then use gratitude to help crystallize the learnings from that oopsie.
Yeah.
And then go do something with it. Tell the story, use it as a point for connection, think of the creative idea, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so much, so I'm working on kind of revamping my keynote right now. And one of the kind of the pillars is my circumstances didn't define me, but my actions did.
Of course.
And there's so much empowerment in that, of the next choice that you make, the thing that you're facing determines whether or not you stay there or you move on from it.
Well, look, there's one line in my keynote that says, we succeed not in spite of our struggles, but because of them. Right? So
That's
like
really powerful. Yeah.
like challenge accepted. Let's go find. I mean, one of the biggest stories that I tell in my keynotes from time to time, depending on the client, is about Thomas Edison, who's, very long story short, Thomas Edison's factory burned down on December 10th, 1914. Like his whole life's work. And insurance didn't cover it. And yada, yada, yada. He was making like $800,000 that year going into the fire. And studies show he lost $932,000 that one night. He got a loan from Henry Ford, his best friend. He did a lot of other things with the right mindset. He went on to make $10 million that next year. And so he looks back and he has gratitude, publicly stated gratitude for that fire. That's a very long story short to, very,
Yeah.
But when I tell that story and I say, adversity is just unlocking your true potential. However I say it, adversity is unlocking your true potential or whatever. I literally go and ask people in the audience, what fire can you start in your organization tomorrow? Go start the fire. Go self-sabotage. Go, freaking reinvent yourself. Go fuck something up so you can learn from it. I mean, gosh golly, I'm a fan of I'd rather be, I just wrote this down yesterday. I realized it's better to be hurt and stomped by the bull and broken in the arena rather than sitting on the sidelines peachy keen. But why am I able to say that? Because I've got gratitude in my corner.
Yeah.
Every stomped by the bull, I ask myself 3 questions. What inside of me is helping me get through this? Can I be grateful for that enduring personal resilience? Number 2, who around me is helping me get through this? Can I give gratitude to them for their support? And number 3, what is it about this negative autobiographical experience that will lead to becoming a positive over time? Can I be grateful for those lessons? Without hard times, none of that learning exists. So it's, I don't know.
Yeah, those hard times get our attention and help us refocus on who we are and what we need to be living the life we want to be living.
Also, hard times actually give you a story worth sharing that people want to listen to.
Yeah.
Kurt Vonnegut proved it in a rejected master's thesis in the 1950s that all stories have shapes. Every story that's ever been told in the history of the universe likely follows one of 8 shapes. There's the boy meets girl, there's the rags to riches, there's the Cinderella story, etc. Well, the pound for pound, according to box office numbers and according to popularity across movie, books, films, TVs, plays, pound for pound, the greatest story to move an audience in human history is called The Man in the Hole. A man walks down the street, falls into a hole, learns some things, meets some friends, climbs out, and the new sidewalk he's walking at is better than the sidewalk he was walking on before he fell in the hole. Right? The Shawshank Redemption, number 1 movie of all time. Andy Dufresne walking down the street, gets thrown in prison, meets Morgan Freeman, siphons some money from the warden, climbs out from a Rita Hayworth poster, moves down to Mexico and opens up a thing with Morgan Freeman. Okay, cool. New normal is better than where he began. That's The Man in the Hole, number 1 movie of all time. And so when you're looking at the story to tell an audience in a keynote, you want to look for the hard times. Because then gratitude is the tool to pull you out of it.
Yeah.
Right? Gratitude is the tool to practice on the way up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that insight as well. And, as we wrap up here, Chris, wanted to just leave kind of rephrasing exactly kind of what you just said is I hope the people watching and listening really think about the toughest of times they've had and how much is it still impacting them today, and seeing it for all that it is, not just all that it was and how it felt in the moment, but how you became something new on the other side of it, and have that confidence rooted in gratitude, like you had talked about. I think this five gratitude language book, I would love to find a way to make this happen, because I think that between the two of us, I think that could be really powerful. But really kind of that, what can you do now? And it really is, maybe that's the most powerful thing is, one, ask yourself, I want you to restate your question one more time here at the end so people kind of leave with that, because that will then help us potentially see how some of the adversity and the sadness and the tragedy that we've gone through may actually lead us to somebody that helped us through it, that maybe we didn't thank them in a way that we needed to in the moment. And maybe that's the first step of the ladder to you climbing out of your hole that you fell into, that you may be in. But then also understanding other people may also be in a hole right now. So how can you then be that person to help somebody else up, to help them see that they're on a journey, that they're not stuck, that they have action they can take, that they can think differently, they can behave differently. And it's just a decision away. It's just a decision away that takes a decision every day. Gratitude is not a set it and forget it. Gratitude is a believe in it and own it and be present in it, and don't do it to get something from it, but do it so that you can feel all that you will from it.
Man, gratitude's this like beautiful goddess. This just like floating around the world like an angel. And the more that we can make ourselves as a vessel to receive her love, her maternal, empathetic, bosomy love, the greater we are all going to be.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all we do is go mess up, go screw up, go do great things, go have fun, whatever, in order to give yourself the moment to reflect on what you just did and insert gratitude into that equation. That's it. Go on adventures. Go, press start before you're ready. Go fail, whatever, so that it gives you an excuse to get that much closer to gratitude. To like channeling the holy universe of gratitude, this goddess down from the heavens to say, gosh, this is great. That's it. That's it.
I love that. I love that. And that's definitely the energy I get from you, which again is multiplying in my heart and my mind, is getting to talk to you. And again, just the fact that I sent you a message and asked if you would be willing to come on and share your spirit and your energy and your purpose with all of the listeners and everybody who watches. And you said, I would love to support.
Oh.
Not yes, I will. Not I can. You just said, I would love to support. And you knew like this much about me. You know a little bit more about me now, but you didn't know much about me then. And that tells me a lot about you. And this is a moment for me that I'm going to have for the rest of my life, and a story I'm going to tell to countless people about the person that you showed up as in one Instagram message, and how much that really expanded my vision, expanded my mindset, made me just more present and more human, and made me more connected. I've told so many people that you're coming on. and then they've said, I need to learn more about this guy. And then now they're learning more about you. And if nothing else, if I introduce more people to people like you and to people like us in our world, not that we're better, just thinking differently.
Of course.
This is the power of multiplication and really connecting with people. And I would love for you just to kind of share just at the end here, how can people reach out to you? What's the best way to kind of soak in your message? What's the best way to benefit from everything you're doing? If people want to work with you, how do they do that?
Honestly, if you're watching this and you are yearning to connect, and you want to write the next chapter of your own life, and you want to grab life by the horns, and you've done a lot for others in your day, and now is your time to shine. Honestly, what I want you to do is open up your calendar and I want you to pick a date 6 weeks from today, maybe a Wednesday or Thursday. And I want you to put a hold on your calendar from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. And I want you to invite 10 people. I want you to invite 16 people. I want you to invite 4 people, whatever you need to do. Host a dinner party. And at that dinner, have everybody, bring their own bottle of wine. Serve them simple food. Create the space for them to connect around the table. And then I want you to pause. I want you to look at them. And I want you to ask this one question. If you could give credit or thanks to one person in your life that you don't give enough credit or thanks to, that you've never thought to thank, who would that be? And I want you to hold space, be firm, no mutiny, no distractions. Go around the table popcorn style and let your people share their answer to this question for a few minutes each. They get to choose who goes next. And I can promise you that before you've dreamed up what your habits, systems, procedures, service offering, or product of tomorrow may bring, that one dinner is going to shift around your heart in the most amazing way that I can't even describe. Got to see it to believe it. And if you reach out to me and you tell me the date you're hosting your dinner, I'll send you my pasta sauce recipe. How's that?
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Actually, you know what? I'll go one step further. I'll FaceTime in to say hello for 10 minutes, just to say hello to your dinner and, help you introduce the question or whatever you need me to do. But it's a pleasure to be with you here today, TJ. And you bring such great work to the world, and you ask such great questions, and you know how to have such a wonderful conversational flow. And this was a true pleasure to participate in.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. It was a pleasure to meet with you and talk to you as well. And I look forward to sharing the message and hopefully meeting you in someday in person and being able to share that with the world too, knowing that it started with this moment and 2 people coming together to connect is pretty powerful. So thank you for that as well. So, all right. Well, everybody, I'm going to, thank Chris for this opportunity to share the time with him, and all of you that tune in every week. Just know that it matters to both of us that you're here, that you're showing up, that you're willing to do this work that Chris and I care so much about. And as we've talked about on Living the Sweet Life, we always kind of talk about we always have the power and the choice to reshape our mindset, live with intention, and look at the world through a grateful lens. And we hope that you start to really believe in yourself, believe in what you're capable of, and find gratitude in some of the toughest moments. So with that, I will leave you all until the next episode. Thank you all for joining, and we look forward to talking to you soon.